Well, welcome back to part 2 of this image working on with Mario. I guess at this stage, just to simplify things, we could just go and flatten the image. Get rid of all those layers and just go back to a single black and white, because as a standalone image it works pretty well by itself. Next thing we want to do though to take it to the next level is to incorporate this texture. So you can find textures, there's plenty of places on the internet you can find them for free, or just go ahead and photograph a piece of cool looking cement or interesting paper or wood, anything that's got some texture to it, and you can create your own textures, put a bit of a vignette onto the effect. It looks pretty darn good. With this one we're just going to select all, so I've already done that. So I've done Command A on Mac and Control A on PC and Command C just to copy that background. Pop back over to Mario and Command V on Mac, Control V on PC, and it brings the texture onto the top of Mario's layer. Control or Command T to allow me to stretch and drag that texture across the whole image, and hit the little check bar at the top there to say it's where we want it. Now, when we're working with layers like this, what we need to do then is look at which blend mode is going to allow the texture to have the nicest effects on the image. And in this instance, we're just going to scroll through a few different effects. That's darken, multiply. You can see the effects that having on the image straight away. It's not quite what I'm looking for, but you'll find there's some interesting things. You'll find each image has an effect that's going to the blending mode that's going to make it look the best. Now we'll just scroll some of the lighter ones because we're trying to work on the darker background there. We're going to work on some of the lighter tones, and I'm thinking, whilst it looks a bit weird to start with, either screen or lighten. Yeah, I think I'm going to start working with lighten. So as you can see, that's kind of ruined the image. But next thing we want to do is just work with our opacity levels and bring the opacity level down. Now I'm not looking at what this layer is doing to Mario or his arms or his body. I'm not just looking at how it's playing on the background, just how much it's standing out. I want to make it fairly subtle in the background, and I'm pretty happy with that. It's an opacity of about 37%. I'm just going to create a new layer, go Edit, Fill, and fill with black, and that removes the effect. Go and get my paintbrush, make sure it's on white, and at a reasonably low opacity. I'm at 39% there at the moment. I'm just going to start to paint in this background just behind Mario there. Now it's starting to give him look like he's got a bit of a studio backdrop happening in the background there, which is kind of the effect we're looking for, something that's got a bit of mottled texture and life to the image. Okay, that looks reasonable. So what I'm going to do next is select all, edit, copy merged, and paste. So that brings all those adjustments onto just a single layer, and now I can work with this layer. Now what I often find when I'm putting textures into a background is they do tend to stand out a little bit too much, a little bit too sharp. So I go in and go to blur, Gaussian blur, and put on a reasonably strong blur in this one, so I just want it fairly subtle. So I'm going to go about 7 pixels, we'll say, and straight away you'll see that effect has really sort of softened and blurred out that background. What I want to do next is just mask that layer out. So create a new layer, edit, select the layer first, edit, fill, black, so that eliminates the effect. Once again, with my paintbrush, just go back in and paint in white and paint this diffuse, softening across pretty much all the image except for Mario's face. You might even want to do some parts of Mario's face just to sort of focus the attention a little bit more. Build that back up to about 100 and just really work that background to its maximum. Make sure we're covering it all. Okay, well, it's working pretty well. I'm reasonably happy with the way it's starting to come together. A couple of things that sort of stand out to my eyes now straight away is I don't like the chair under his arm. It sort of stands out just a little bit too much. So I was going to create a new curves layer, drag this right the way down to almost black, and then fill with black once again. Now with my paintbrush, fairly high opacity, I can just paint out that chair. But it has another effect. I'm going to reduce the opacity of my paintbrush. I'm just going to slowly sort of work some of the foreground part of this image. Excuse my child coughing in the background if you can hear it. I'm just going to sort of work in some of these little areas through here just to help focus the attention towards Mario a little bit more. And I'm just going to work just on the side of Mario's head and neck there, just to darken down some of that effect and bring some focus, a bit more focus towards his face. I'm just going to reduce the size of that brush. I'm just going to work on just a couple of these lighter areas on Mario's face here as well, just to not be too distracting. Just subtly. That's the advantage of working with a fairly low opacity brush. You can just sort of slowly work in these areas. It's got a little bit of stubble going on there, so it doesn't hurt to highlight that. So it adds more shape to the face. And that's what shadow does to a photograph. It really adds shape and form and texture to a face. That's kind of what we're looking for in someone who's got a face that's been lived in. So I'm kind of liking the look of that. Just see the difference I've made to the image just there. And the great thing about this, if I've just gone a little bit more than I like, I can just slide the opacity slider here to get it just about right. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So what we've done now in this layer is we've helped blur out the image and really focus the attention on Mario's face a little bit more by using the Gaussian blur. We've added the texture to give us a bit of more depth and a bit more that painterly look to the image. There's a couple of things I still want to work on, so I'm going to select all, edit, copy merged, and edit paste to start to bring up a whole new layer of all those effects. Because on this one I want to work on the whole part of the image again. I'm going to go filter, I'm going to go back to sharpen once again, unsharp mask. This is the second time we've done this. Probably knock down the opacity on that one, the amount on that just a bit. Let's drop that down to 34%. Let's see what it's like with and without. Yeah, we're going to really bring our attention to Mario's face there. And once again, create a layer mask, edit, fill, black. And now I'm going to paint in a bit higher opacity than that. Paint back in some of that sharpness in the areas that I want it. So where's that going to be? It's going to be around the eyes, yeah, the lips, the forehead. A little bit of hair sticking up the top there because it just adds a little bit of shape to the face. So if we really just sort of worked on that little area just through there, fairly subtle. Once again, I think it makes the image pop just a little bit more. And we can either just stop the image right there and be pretty happy with that. It's a pretty strong looking portrait. But one other thing you can do is go up to do layer, new fill layer, solid color, click OK, then choose a color, background, sort of an overlay color, a warmer tone color to transform the image just a little bit. So I'm choosing sort of a greeny, browny, blacky, kind of muddy looking color, frankly. And that's giving me a nice big solid color there. If I go down now in my blend mode to overlay, as we can see straight away, that's over the top. Bring my opacity slider back down again. And what have we done to that image? We've just warmed that image up just a little bit. Just a little bit more than we had before. And to my eye, it's just looking a tiny bit dark now. So select all, edit, copy merged, edit, paste again. So once again, just bring all those layers back up. And if I now go to screen on that, I can just play with the brightness just a little bit, just to get it where I want. Just a little bit of detail in the background, a bit of detail on Mario's arms, and that's it. Pretty happy with the look of that. I've printed this out to A3, and it's a wonderfully strong portrait. So the effects, the over sharpening doesn't ruin the image at all. It really makes it very bold. And that out of focus, the Gaussian blur we worked on there, really helps focus your face right, or your eyes straight to Mario's eyes. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. Any questions, just send them through to us at info@creativephotoworkshops.com.au or post it on Facebook. See you later.